All right, so it's kind of I'm not sure how this part where we talk about the story will come into play because I played the most 139 hours as I mentioned. Down Phoenix 40 hours or was it 39? It was 40
It was
ish.
about 50 actually.
Oh, okay, 50 and Nightman 33. So, what did you think of the story of this game? Nightman first, since he did the lowest.
Let's just say I joked about this on Facebook. You know how Fallout 3 was pretty much your character trying to find his
Oh
dad?
God, I saw that post. I saw that post.
Yeah.
But go on, talk about it in detail for those who didn't see that post.
Yeah. And let's just say they kind of took that story and then kind of did a reverse. Now it's your character is trying to find his son.
You are the parent finding their child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
same
mean, it's
thing.
not really a spoiler because it's something you find out in like the first half hour of the game. So it's
my
like,
my friends
Pretty
on
much.
Facebook thought that I was spoiling the game. I'm like, what?
No, that's the premise. That's the plot of the game. So, how'd you feel like the story of that flowed throughout the game? Like, whatever main quest that tied it to like you finding your child.
It may not be like the most original thing, but
No, it's not.
But for what it was it really got you emotionally invested into trying to find his kid, his actual, or should I say his or her, depending on what gender you choose. But it's
There's a goal.
main goal. You
Yep.
care enough. It makes you care enough to want to have him see through that goal.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
I'm-
without getting to the occasional distraction for several hours that you
Yeah,
might get.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I'm gonna have something conflicting to that, but Down Phoenix. So, what do you think of like the story as a whole, from what you've played so far?
As far as the general narrative of
Yeah.
the game, there's definitely some good sides and bad sides. As far as the main story, it definitely seemed it was a lot stronger from what I've seen so far as compared to the original games that we mentioned, of course. But at the same time, it seemed like it was kind of lacking in terms of the overarching lore and things like that. I mean, I'm really having a hard time describing it. But I guess it kind of goes with the whole fact that in this game, it kind of took away a lot of the conversation stuff, for instance. And that kind of dumbed down some of the
History.
side storylines you get.
Like knowing less of the world because it's like the conversations are not as deep
Yeah.
because they all seem to be more character focused. I noticed.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of goes. It's kind of like a double-edged sword with it because obviously for newcomers they don't want to bog them down with too much information,
Like history and all that.
and with the people that have already been well versed in the universe, they don't want the same thing re-explained over and over.
Not necessarily, but
Yeah.
like they might want to see learn something about like this part of what happened in the world. That would be a thing.
Yeah,
And the game does occasionally go into that.
yeah. Diamond City, for instance, really nice touch to the story.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
That's definitely one of the top Fallout areas ever. I really enjoyed that area.
Okay.
Indeed.
So anyways, so since I'm the only one that like got one of the endings. Oh wait, did you get one of the endings now, Phoenix?
No, I'm
Okay.
pretty close to resolving the main storyline. I probably got a few hours or so to go on that.
Okay.
part.
So I got one of the endings, and let's be honest, there's multiple endings in all the Fallout games, so it's not a spoiler if I numbered how many endings there are. So my take on the narrative is because of the way I was playing it, I kind of dicked around the game a lot, where it's like the urgency of going to save your child was kind of an afterthought. So whenever like my character got emotional, like like my child, I miss him and stuff, and it's like I look back at all the hours of me not going to rescue him. There's like you know what I'm talking about, the distraction. There's kind of like a lack of focus on saving your child.
Yeah,
I find, 'cause-
totally get that. It kind of like opens up things to let you do it how you want to do it. But whenever you do get to those things, it's like, dang, you're kind of an asshole dad. I mean, you forgot about your son for like several freaking hours a game.
Days and weeks in the thing. Like okay, you remember Pigment, right? The game on GameCube.
Uh huh.
Okay, you remember the first game had a time limit, right?
Yeah, I remember something like that. But wasn't it like per stage though? Or was it
No,
for the whole
for
game?
the entire game. Okay, so here's my my comparison of our analogy of like what I think of the Fallout 4 main story of saving your son. Okay, in Fallout 4, with the whole saving your child, there's no urgency, there's no focus on it, like, in my opinion, because, like, just, like, yeah, like, were you ever, like, pressured, like, your character was like, I gotta find my child soon, or else I'm gonna, like, pop a gun in my mouth and then bang, and stuff like that. Like, he never does anything like that.
I totally get that. I mean, but it's really, I don't know if I would think it's the fault of the game so much.
No, I'm just, like, kind of, like, it's kind of, like I said, it's because of the way I played the game, it kind of felt like it lacked focus. But so going back to the Pigment comparison, in Pigment 1 you had a time limit to get off the planet before you the game ends for you. So there was like an urgency to find all the parts as quickly as possible to get off the planet. Now, and people hated that, but I actually kind of liked the game for that, because it was like the time limit gave the game like an importance of urgency. Now, in the sequel, they don't do that. You basically just go treasure hunting, and you have as much time as you want, and it's just like, I wasn't as invested in Pigment 2 as I was with the first one. And basically, Fallout 4 is Pigment 2 to that. Unlike
right.
And
or
I know,
the original Prince of Persia, probably one of the best examples of what you're talking about, because that game you had to beat the game in 1 hour.
or how about this, Down Phoenix, and I think you'll definitely agree with this, the original Fallout, where you had to find water for your vault. And
where you had a real sense of urgency, because if you didn't find a solution in time, it was game over.
Yeah, so you could still dick around, but there was a sense of urgency to that, and that's what I liked about the first game, was you had to do something about it. Second game kind of did that too, but once you found out something about it, it wasn't as urgent and made it sort of weak. You know, that's how I feel about Fallout 4. There's no urgency, especially with when you consider from his standpoint, his son could be like taken over by whatever
who knows
happened
if
to
he was
Wasteland.
even still alive or anything like that, because of chain of events that happened in the game. Or
Yeah, like he's been like in the beginning of the game, he gets your child gets kidnapped. Who knows what happens? If you don't rescue him in time, he might think you're not his father, in fact would kill you, become someone else's child, or be part of a gang of raiders, part of the Brotherhood or something like that.
That would have been something really cool to see. Is still give you the freedom to play it how you want, but at the same time, maybe award you with some difference in the way that it plays out.
The way the story changes.
More urgently, as opposed to, kind of exploring the world more.
Yeah, I like exploring the world, but it's just like the main quest. Like I just didn't I saved it for the last thing to do on my list. That
maybe
is not
a different ending or outcome.
Yeah, which it didn't. But but that's not how a loving parent that cares about their child should go about with saving their child last on the list. Like I'm just imagining like a piece of paper. It's like top priority, side quest, exploring, and the very bottom of the list, save my child.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at least with say Fallout 3, it kind of made sense not to rush it, because at least before they did the Brotherhood of Steel expansion and all that for Fallout 3, when you
Broken
beat the
Steel?
game, that was it. You couldn't replay or anything like that. So you had to go back to a previous save. They obviously changed that later for Fallout 3, but at least the original release, once you beat the game, it was game over. You had to go back to a previous save if you want to play it more.
And it worked better in Fallout 3 with finding your father, because you're trying to investigate where he is. You knew he was going to be alive somewhere, because, he's your father, Lam Nielsen, was not an idiot. So it was just like a matter of okay, I need to find out where he is, so I have to explore everywhere and be like, hey, have you seen this guy? He's my father, and stuff like that. But Fallout 4, it's just like, side quest, important, dicking around, important, saving son, last priority. So I find it funny, but it's only because of the way I played it, but you get what I mean. There's no, in my perspective, there's no focus or urgency to saving your child.
Yeah, I guess you could replay it again, just kind of more of a straight shot of it.
Yeah, and then it's but there's no change if you actually did all the main quests right away. So
yeah.
So that's also kind of that's where the whole idea of I don't have to worry about this, I can put it off until the very, very last minute of the game.
Yeah, I think it all boils down to the fact that the game lets you do whatever you want, essentially. There's obviously some restrictions, but there's very few. But the actual consequences or outcomes aren't necessarily reflective of your actions.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, there's just... You do whatever you want. There's no consequence. No real consequences anyways.
Unless you steal.
Yes.
You
That
just-
is true.
You just go on a murder death rampage until you're dead.
Just shoot everyone. Is there anything we'd like to comment about, like, the quests?
Well, I mean, the quests are pretty standard fare as far as the way they work versus other Fallout games. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a lot of differences with that.
Yeah,
Now,
not a
that
whole
being
lot of
said, there are some
variety.
very interesting quests that I would love to talk about in full detail, but
But that would
I
be
don't want to
slow.
divulge a whole lot because I mean, obviously the game's still fairly new. There's still a lot of people that haven't played through it, and I still haven't played through it entirely, obviously. So, but there are some very interesting quests that it does show that Bethesda as a company is kind of growing in the way they handle the quests of the game. It's not like I mean, with the original Fallout games, I mean, there were some really excellent quests, but some of them did seem kind of fetch questy, and
Which you still do in this game.
yeah, but at the same time, it seems like the fetch quests are really small little quests that you can kind of just do as you're on the way to do something else. It wasn't like a main focus, like you had to do this particular fetch quest before you could do something else, or something like that.
A lot of my quests involved just like from what I remember of playing the game, killing a lot of people. There were a couple of times where it was like an investigative quest, and some of them were like the fetch quests you mentioned, like when you do a mission for a certain group where you find dead drops around. Yeah, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's mostly just killing people. There's not, like we mentioned earlier, there's not too many things you can do with the conversation, because I don't remember negotiating too much in the game. Where, actually, no, there were a couple of points in the game where I was able to negotiate myself out of getting into a firefight with people. So there were points, but not too many. I would have liked to see more, speech checks that you have to pass and make use of the attributes like Down Phoenix would have liked. Like if you have
Yeah,
enough,
or just more conversation options to really kind of
yeah, like if you have more strength, you'd be able to intimidate this person like easier. And you know what? I never really liked the percentage chance in like the speech checks in this game, because you know what you usually do when you fail a speech check in this game?
What's that?
You reload the save until you get it. So it's
Oh,
like
right.
So it's like the thing that New Vegas did that was good was like you had a requirement. If you met the requirement, you immediately got past this check. If you didn't, you just went away and just came back later when you were able to do it. So I kind of would have preferred that a little bit more over chance, because like I say, if you can save and reload, then chance means nothing, because eventually you're gonna pass the check at some point.
Yeah. Plus, the chance was kind of confusing because it's a game that, like, if you look at this game versus the previous Fallout games, it removes a lot of number crunching, but then it does introduce some elements of it there.
Yeah,
Whereas
like
before,
it's still there, but not as obvious.
yeah, it's like hidden now, but it's still there, and that's kind of annoying too. Because
Did you know in the original Fallout there was actually a percentage for your speech checks?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like apparently Hitman was telling me about it. It was because I also noticed it too when I was talking with the Master in Fallout 1, where it's like I saw someone did a playthrough of it where he speeched his way through the entire thing, and I was like, oh, if I can open this dialogue, I can just tell him this, but it didn't work for me because there was still that percentage chance. It was just that it wasn't shown.
Right, and it kind of was a drop, like a fallback to that actually.
Almost like a Fallout.
Ha ha ha!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Fallout 3.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of pointless to talk about the world of the game, because I think we pretty much just described most of it
Yeah,
for the
it
past
kinda blends all together with
2
the
hours.
story.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether we should go about talking about the likes and dislikes of the game. There are definitely parts I didn't like about the game, not necessarily because I hate it. I just find certain parts weak, like perk system, legendary items, some of the combat and such like that. So yeah, I think we can just skip that part.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of this game as a Game of the Year material? I definitely would put it up there, but I wouldn't quite say yes to that.
As far as game of the year period, no. It's probably in my top 5 for 2015, though.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Not my number
Yeah.
one, but it's definitely up there because I really, really enjoyed it, despite some of the flaws and the stuff that I'm not pleased with.
Yeah, I put it in my top 5 as well, but not like number 1.
So I think that's all we have to say about Fallout 4.
It's kind of funny how we really delved into this in depth, and then it ends like, yeah, it's good.
Well, still, it was kind of fun talking about the game.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
guess people should realize what our thoughts are based on what we've said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean-
So, thanks, guys, for joining me on this video game vlog. It's been almost 2 hours, but thanks for listening in. This is Wizbro100, and these two are...
Nightman?
You're the listeners,
And he's down
and we're
Phoenix.
the BSers, or what, I don't know what you want to call it. Podcasters.
Yeah, I guess something like that. You're the listeners, and we're the ramblers.
Yeah. Yeah, you go ahead. Say your thing.
From everyone here, go check out Down Phoenix and Nightman39 on YouTube. Yeah, so stay tuned for more. Is there anything we'd like to comment about, like, the quests in this game? Like,
The Questus.
yeah, the quests. The quests you do in the game.
You said Questus.
Like, how do you say the plural form of it?
Quests.
Quests.
Okay. The quests. What about the quests? Fuck off! The quests. I can't help it. I gotta pronounce that S at the end.
Yeah. Into the occasional distraction for several hours that you
Yeah,
might get.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I'm gonna have something conflicting to that, but Down Phoenix. So, what do you think of like the story as a whole, from what you've played so far?
As far as the general narrative of
Yeah.
the game, there's definitely some good sides and bad sides. As far as the main story, it definitely seemed it was a lot stronger from what I've seen so far as of compared to the original games that we mentioned, of course. But at the same time, it seemed like it was kind of lacking in terms of the overarching lore.
All right, so it's kind of I'm not sure how this part where we talk about the story will come into play because I played the most 139 hours as I mentioned. Down Phoenix 40 hours or was it 39? It was 40.
It was about 50, actually.
Oh, okay, 50 and Nightman 33. So, what did you think of the story of this game? Nightman first, since he did the lowest.
Let's just say, I joked about this on Facebook. You know how Fallout 3 was pretty much your character trying to find his
Oh
dad?
God, I know. Whatever main quest that tied it to like you finding your child.
It may not be like the most original thing, but
No, it's not.
But for what it was it really got you emotionally invested into trying to find his kid, his actual, or should I say his or her, depending on what gender you choose. But it's
There's a goal.
main goal. You
Yep.
you care enough. It makes you care enough to want to have him see through that goal.
Okay. Well,
I mean, without getting.
I saw that post.
Yeah.
But go on. Talk about it in detail for those who didn't see that post.
Yeah, and let's just say they kind of took that story and then kind of did a reverse. Now it's your character is trying to find his son.
You are the parent finding their child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, I
same
mean, it's
thing.
not really a spoiler because it's something you find out in, like, the first half hour of the game. So it's
my
like,
my friends
Pretty
on
much.
Facebook thought that I was spoiling the game. I'm like, what?
No, that's the premise. That's the plot of the game. So, how'd you feel like the story of that flowed throughout the game? Like,
and things like that. I mean, I'm really having a hard time describing it. But I guess it kind of goes with the whole fact that in this game, it kind of took away a lot of the conversation stuff, for instance. And that kind of dumbed down some of the side
History.
storylines you get.
like knowing less of the world because it's like the conversations are not as deep
Yeah.
because they all seem to be more character focused. I noticed.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of goes. It's kind of like a double-edged sword with it because obviously for newcomers, they